Hey guys, all right, are we ready for our next installment of QSource? So today we have groups as our topic. So first up, our definition as always. A definition of a group, two or more figures forming a complete unit in a composition. They went there as a group. A number of individuals assembled together or having some unifying relationship, a study group, or maybe a workout group. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what that means for us in F3. So we've got the definition. The book obviously defines this as voluntary combination of two or more people, which Merriam-Webster's would concur with. At our base level, we form groups for safety and support, right? So this goes this goes very far back to the origins of human beings and human nature. And, we come together to watch out for people. And ultimately, what you learn, of course, is that individuals forming together in groups create advantages, and ultimately those advantages become a force multiplier, right? And so that is that there's a Bible verse that says a strand of two or three cords cannot be easily broken, and that applies to individuals coming together, right? And so you have power and strength when there is more than one of you. You have another set of eyes, another set of ears, so on and so forth, another brain. And so ultimately, that is why we form together. When you look at the different types of groups as defined in the book, the first one is community. And really, that's nothing more than just being close to somebody, right? So Lawson is a community. Briarcrest is, kind of a community, I guess. And there really isn't any other defining characteristics other than you just have to be close to each other. And where you start to diverge from that is when you talk about organizations, right? An organization has a purpose. It's formed around a common purpose, and it ultimately has a mission. And so the book defines three different types of organizations: lizards, bullfrogs, and leeches. And as we're going to learn, the lizard organization is the greatest type of organization. I'm going to do my best to give some examples that I think people can resonate with, and that will look at these different types of organizations. Unfortunately, I think some of this will delve into politics a little bit, but maybe I'll try to keep it as sort of bipartisan as I can, if that's a good way of thinking of it. So let's talk a little bit about a lizard organization. So a lizard organization is dedicated to accomplishing its mission. And so ultimately, this is a group that is going to be disruptive, forward-thinking. They are really the highest form of a group, right? They're actually focused on accomplishing and doing something. The next one is a bullfrog. And that is really an organization that is simply built around trying to maintain status quo and keep its own existence in shape. I would put the entire U.S. government, candidly, in this category. Definitely not something mission focused. It is something that is all about self-preservation. You look at politicians today on either side of the aisle, and their entire focus is on getting reelected, right? That's a bullfrog organization, if there ever is one at all. And they have completely, sadly, for us, and I didn't mean to make this a commentary on the state of the U.S., but sadly, we have lost our lizard element and we have become a bullfrog. And then the last one is leeches, right? And so maybe my terminology here, but I did steal it a little bit from the book, is a leprous and leaderless mob, right? And basically, they are there. A leech group is there to get what it can from, more often than not, a bullfrog organization. And you could put kind of any group in here. There are probably plenty of examples. This is the one where I thought we might diverge too deeply into politics. But look at any type of organization whose job really is to just suck off the teat of the government. And sticking with that theme, because I think in this day and age it's probably the most emblematic of what we're talking about here. But look at it like that group that contributes little to nothing. They are not focused on anything mission oriented. There's no one in charge. There's no mission. They're not even organized in any fashion. They are just there to take. So let's talk a little bit about The next item here we've got, so teams, right? And really this is where you start to get into the detail around how F3 is so effective. So a team is, by definition, of course, a group. We've got two or more people together, but it's a type of group or subgroup focused on solving a problem. Certainly in close proximity, right? That's one of the defining characteristics of a team. It exists to do something. It is action-oriented. It is defined by active contribution made to the team's effectiveness. Active contribution indicates or connotates that the individual members are all participating, and that becomes very relevant for our discussion around F3, and each person showing up and doing some part in the overall team's mission and solving the problem that we see out there. So a member must contribute to be considered in, quote unquote, if you could see me air quoting, good standing. And that's why, as an example this morning, we had Spitz who did his VQ, albeit way late, Spitz. But nonetheless, he did his VQ, right? He is contributing to the mission of F3. He is part of the team. He is in, well, now he's in good standing. A lizard organization is little more than a collection of teams that are working together toward accomplishing the mission of the organization. So like when I look at our organization at work, we are a collection of teams, right? We have different teams organized around different small missions, right? I've got a participant services center whose job effectively is to handle phone calls from existing accounts and clients. And then we've got a group that does claims processing, right? So their mission on the claims processing side is to, as quickly as possible inside our standard SLAs, turn around a claim to a participant. In the participant call center, we have individuals whose job it is to efficiently move through phone calls and help participants. And on my sales team, I have people whose contribution to the team is to bring in a certain amount of revenue. Each has its own small mission, but ultimately they are there to support the broader mission of the organization, which is to grow revenue and build $100 million organization as an example. I love this quote from Michael Jordan here: "Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships." So good stuff there. So let's talk a little bit about what we are going to do when we get together on Friday. So here are your questions. We'll do the same thing as always, 20 minutes in small groups, back together for the remaining 10. We'll share what everybody's thoughts were. Here are your questions. What type of organization does F3 most resemble? Do we look like a lizard, a bullfrog, or a leech, and why? What part do you play in advancing F3 Waxaw's mission? And then how do the teachings, so a little bit of a different tact here, how do the teachings from this lesson apply to your family organization? And I guess what I'm asking there is, does your family tend to resemble one or more of these types of organizations? That's probably less impactful than, do you guys have a family mission? Do you hold the different quote unquote team members, your family members, accountable? What roles do people play? Overall, just how does this apply to you and the family? So that's it. If you haven't read the chapter, this is the longest one we've hit yet, although I did look ahead, and next week's is light again, before we really get into the meat of the book as we're going through setting this table. So anyway, that's it, guys. Hopefully this was impactful. I do have a quick video I'm going to play for you here, so let's get that queued up. Simon Sinek will take us out.
The Navy SEALs are one of the highest performing organizations on the planet, and a former Navy SEAL was asked, who makes it through BUDS? Who makes it through the selection process to become a SEAL? And he said, I can't tell you who gets through, who makes it, but I can tell you the kind of people who don't make it. He said the star college athletes that never have been really tested to the core of their being, none of them make it through. He said the preening leaders who like to delegate everything, none of them make it through. He said the big tough guys that come in with huge muscles covered in tattoos who want to prove to everyone how tough they are, none of them make it through. He said some of the guys that make it through are skinny and scrawny. He said some of the guys who make it through, you'll see them shivering out of fear. He said, but every single one of them who makes it through, when they're emotionally exhausted, when they're physically exhausted, some way, somehow, They're able to dig down deep inside themselves to find the energy to help the person next to them. Service. Service. Giving to another, having their back, is what makes the highest performing teams in the world. Not their strength and not their intelligence. It's their willingness to be there for each other.
All right, guys. So I would argue that service is at the very heart of what we do. That's what I loved that video. First of all, it was just short and quick. And the bottom line really is it ended on a high note. And that high note was we are all about service, service to each other, service to our community. And that is one of our primary missions. So at any rate, that's it, guys. Have a great one. I will see you on Friday. Peace out.